I wanted to put this up. It's a quote by Henry Kissinger. He says, "Money and power are like an aphrodisiac." Uh, okay, he also, when he was at a banquet, a party given for Diana some years back, I can't remember if it was the Travolta or the gowns I think she gave away. By the way, I'm living on the Appalachian Trail, starving and freezing, and the laws and torture that have been done to me. So she and that family she married into can use my money and my name, and I can't. I'm a pauper. So Kissinger, I had a photo of that for a long time. It's gone now. But he's shaking hands with Diana, and he's saying, I think you should be queen. Well, if anybody's watched some of my videos I've put up over the last 2.5, going on 3 years, I put more than one up, and I'm not sure it went because I found out a couple of days ago that some of my videos are you can't view list. So I don't know if that's one of them. But I made this statement, and it's so true. Everything I've said on it is true. I can't even get on it, the horror stories and the laws that have been broken. But I wanted to say this one. Back during the Watergate, Victor Gonzalez, and I've given a background on him, and by the way, Gonzalez, this is not under gag or seal, this part. Granted, everybody's tried to kill me, and I finally found out why, and I'll get to that in a moment. Victor Gonzalez was at Parkwood in Dallas, or Parkland, part of Parkwood, which he worked at then on Cliff Valley Way in Atlanta when this happened to me. But he was there when Kennedy was shot and brought in the emergency room. He was interning. Later, he ends up in Huntsville working for the Army there. He's in the Army, and that's where NASA and the Redstone Arsenal and Marshall Space Flight Center and all that is located. Now I want to get back to what happened with Kissinger. So this was in, 1973 or 72? I don't know. But anyway, the point is, it's probably 73. Point is that I saw something that I shouldn't have seen, was one thing, in Gonzalez's office. And it was next to what became Northside Hospital, and I later worked across the street at Northside for the doctor's office where I was writing the book and everything, and a lot of this happened. But anyway, that would have been in 77, 78. When Larry Flint was shot. But anyway, back to this. I was drugged. I went into Gonzalez's office. He handed me a cup of coffee, and I was drugged. I knew what was happening. I knew that I couldn't move. I was drug out, and I think he still had that Delta Oldsmobile. That's before the Volvo, and then the little what's the oh my goodness, Irish car, what it was named after, that little small, anyway. So that would kind of date it there. But anyway, he was working out of Parkwood, Cliff Valley Way, all that time. My point is that I was taken, and I'm going to say this again, across Atlanta to College Park, it's a suburb, and it's where all of the trolley tracks were. There was, and the depot to it was across the street from it, but there was a clinic there. It was a white, long kind of clinic, not built up or anything, just elongated. I went in, and I remember thinking, please, God, let me get somebody to help me. There were a few people in the emergency room, or in the waiting room when I went in. Well, he was dragging me. He's a doctor. Even if I could have talked and reached out, they wouldn't have listened to me. So I was taken back, and I'm going to leave out what I've already put up there about, there was about 4 or 5 doctors and nurses with, hey, get this, the mask across their face and the cap and gown. And they were just standing there, and I thought, why don't they help me if I could only scream out? Because I was on a table. Gonzalez was on this Gonzalez was on my left, right here, and I was on the table. There was a doctor back here, back of my head, and there was a phone there. And these doctors and nurses, I don't know how many were in there, but I saw about 4 with the caps. They weren't doing anything, just standing there looking at me. I understand now why. I thought, why can't they help me? Well, what was going on, I could hear the conversation, and it was to Henry Kissinger, and later I found out when I was almost killed in aid for a full day of 80, about trying to write about some of this, taken across the state line and worked for Fred Simpson, the district attorney in Huntsville, Madison County, Alabama, where NASA is. I found out there they role-played the Watergate tapes. Okay, the Watergate tapes is what, I don't care how they've tried to cover it up and to leak, the timeline and all of it, if it's ever made public to the world and they have to view it, will prove it true. But anyway, they were waiting on a phone call, and it was Henry Kissinger on the other end, demanding that the Brits, or my family, Brits and my family, come across with whatever treaties, money, whatever, or they were going to lobotomize me. So I could hear them, and I knew what they were saying, and I couldn't move, and this SOB Gonzalez was standing over me with a grin on his face. So then the call came through that it was okay to let me go, and so I wouldn't get with this. I just said that about Kissinger and him saying that money and power was like an aphrodisiac, that it made you feel good and all this. Well, I want to ask him this because my father, I want to ask about Elizabeth Mountbatten Windsor. She's the illegal monarch. Her father helped kidnap me, daughter Queen Victoria II, the day I was born. I was a legal heir. He helped take down my father, Edward VIII. And my father was never married to Wallace Simpson. That was a double. And the double was used in all of the lies and corruptness that were put. My father was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor. Now I wanted to ask about this woman. And here's where my uncle was meeting George, the illegal sixth, Elizabeth's father. I was meeting in 1939 when I was born. By the way, one of the attorneys that represented, I did get her, she really worked for the forestry, I think, but anyway, she had this waiting for me, so I would get it. It's where Roosevelt and my uncle in 39 were planning to kidnap me with the Kennedys and Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers that lied about my father, who married who married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, my mom, American from Madison, Wisconsin, sister to Georgia, and this American spy that Madonna made a movie about, which is a total lie. She's not the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. They aren't. They're imposters. And they helped take down my father and just deleted my mother and kidnapped me. So, Elizabeth, what is your aphrodisiac? Living off of my money, illegal treaties, watching you knew all along about my father. Your mom did, and she's not the queen mom, but that's how history records it. They don't record the truth about my dad or about my birth or my son's birth or what you and this bunch of thugs who gave away my country. Look at it now, Elizabeth. She's known I have had every crime committed against me and my sons here in this country. I was taken to Moulton, Alabama, I'll say it again, given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, married to Childers. Both twins, Peggy and Carl, were dead. And I've put this up. This is just a photo when I came here in high school, me. And this is the family, part of them, here. And this is just a copy of the twins, or one of them, Carl. Both of them are dead, were killed, but this is the name they gave me, Peggy. And right here, I still have to use it. And here they even marked through the state of Alabama because the